So Matt had brought up, Tony, right before you jumped on, another rumor that's circulating involving the Pac-12 and the ACC. So instead of them individually trying to survive this onslaught and thinking we've got limited options here because the Pac-12 is kind of caged into most likely the Mountain West or those options, and for the ACC, well, they could potentially get poached in both directions from the SEC and the Big Ten. North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, Florida State, Miami are being talked about, that they join forces to stabilize the entire situation instead of trying to do it unilaterally.
I think that is a creative and not unfounded idea. Being out here covering the ACC the way I do now and being out in Charlotte, you hear a lot of the dumping on ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips. Look, it's between Swafford and Phillips. The ACC has one of the worst TV deals in the history of college sports, and they're stuck with it until 2035. It's abysmal. You've got to be able to scrap it. You've got to be able to, if you do this merger, you've got to be able to scrap it. And certainly if there is a combining of efforts on the two coasts, there is going to be new innovative TV ideas. I saw someone before, and we talked about it, had the question about Apple. I've actually heard Amazon is ready to throw a lot more money at it than even Apple is. And of course, we know Amazon just threw, bags of cash at the NFL. And they're ready to do it for some streaming rights. So you would basically let the Pac-12, Pac-10, whatever it's going to be, and the ACC operate. They both already have eliminated divisions within their play so that you're already similar in format. You really don't have to do much there. Top two teams are going to play for the conference championship. And basically you're looking at a West Division and an East Division at that point, and have the champions meet somewhere in the middle. Hey, Indianapolis. Just kidding. But have them meet, somewhere for the conference championship. It is doable. I think George Kliavkoff is probably, in terms of creativity, forward thinking, progressive thinking. I don't mean progressive in the political sense. I mean progressive in terms of going forward. I think he's light years ahead of Jim Phillips, but it certainly is worth exploring. Absolutely. Because without it, look, the ACC is going to be on the verge of losing Clemson, Florida State, and Miami to the SEC. And then the other schools will just move wherever's left.
So Tony, you're in ACC country. You study the conference. I mean, you're based in Charlotte. So, what's the word on how watertight or airtight the grant of rights is going to be in terms of preventing, let's say, Clemson going to the SEC, other schools making moves? Like, is the grant of rights, does it have loopholes? How exploitable is it for a team of lawyers to bust through it and shake up the ACC?
I would call it malleable. It is. It can be worked out, worked around, worked through. We have read through, as much as we could of it, and there are loopholes, and it has to do with performance, and it has to do with, there are actually in some of them competitive revenue clauses. Okay, now if you already accept that the ACC is getting its rear end kicked on a per school basis, the amount of money it's taking in TV revenue versus the Big Ten and the SEC, there's an out right there. It doesn't exist for every school, but it exists for some of the major ones to be able to go.
So just quickly, so like Clemson's lawyers could make the argument, hey, we're getting half the money of Rutgers. We this grant of rights is not tenable.
Right. They absolutely could. There is a competitive revenue clause in several of these deals.
Okay. Thank you.